So, giving us a point of reference to begin from, who would like to do the rolling to see how successful you all were in getting the detective to the ambulance unmolested by the police who are inside, otherwise engaging the entirety of the shelter looking for this wounded, injured officer down?
Well, it won't be Lolly. She's pretty much trembling like a trapped rabbit at this point.
All right. Well, that being the case, Miriam, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll? There's 3 of you. So that will give you a +3. And it would be your composure and stealth +3.
Assuming standard difficulty.
Yes.
Seems to be having technical difficulties.
It does. I'm going to try slash and use either Realm or Inkanu.
Oh, there it comes up. Yay. Maybe?
Well, now. That is quite
She's
the roll.
very determined.
That is quite the roll, and that gives us a great place to start mechanically. So, without further delay, and without too much more doing, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for being here. Even with our mutual, long, relatively, history with this hobby of ours, play still matters, even in this ripened, old, wizened age, where we have managed to see, if we are all born roughly around the same time, 5 decades upon this little mud ball we call home. And in that time, I'm sure, at least speaking solely for myself, a lot of good moments, a lot of bright, shiny instances, both under the light of nostalgia and both under the light of just actual fact, have been spent playing these games, playing at this hobby of ours. And you all have given me the opportunity to continue doing so. And for that, for all of the experiences that we've had with these characters and others in this very dark mirror image of our world, you all have all of my thanks. So thank you, and thank you. And now that the warm, squishy, soft parts of things are out of the way, I'd like to say that this is officially, without a shadow of a doubt, Season 19 of Soup City Sins. Episode 6, Transpositioning Obscurity, with the bonus of picking up from our midpoint of situating Trevets against nestled disposings. When we last left, and prior to working out the mechanics of the scene, Lolly was turning heel, taking off. These monsters of our hearts were too great a monsters for her to deal with. Their wanton violence, their determined and calculated monstrosity, their facilitating emotions, and the fallout of such causing such a large swath of chaos, despair, and loss was in fact too much. But in the course of fleeing, in the course of their care, in the course of the chaos and focus of who and what they are, without beating the point overly much, they got the band back together. They focused their attentions on getting the detective into the ambulance unseen. They focused on disappearing from the scene quickly enough that they were able to get on the road in the care of Detective Devereaux and her partner towards meeting Damien. Now, Damien, as Sheriff of Chicago, has a reputation of sorts. He's effective, he's efficient, He is about as fair of a sheriff as there have ever been inside the city of Chicago. He is also still very much the prime draw and rock star of Baby Chorus. While there are many other members, and each with their own following, he has managed to keep the dream of Baby Chorus being a real active thing alive, even during their hiatus, even when they took 15 years off from performing, even when the only thing that anyone had of them were poorly recorded CDs and concert tapes, still passed along, still downloaded into digital format, still traded and exchanged as measure of currency for their chorus, for the fans of Baby Chorus. So, in the back of the vehicle, in the back of the police van, running no lights, no sounds, towards Damien, is there anything that Miriam or Lolly would be saying?
I know Lolly would be quiet. She's freaking out. So she would reply probably to just about anything that anyone asked her or said to her with, "Okay, don't hurt me."
I would guess Miriam would probably be doing her best to soothe the frightened young woman. Not quite sure how she would do that. Depends on how catatonic Lolly is, really.
You remember that touching her is a bad idea.
Well, yes, I do remember that.
Wait, was that a vote for a big hug?
No. Okay. She would hold out one hand and put one finger up and ask, "Do you want to smell the cookie or blow out the candle?"
Just don't hurt me. That's what she's got.
Enough.
So having a grasp on Hesja's temper, having a grasp on Lucio's rage and natural erring towards what he believes is the most good, understanding that they are off to see the sheriff, their former boss, both of Hesja and Lucio's ally, one of their many quiet allies amongst the power structures of the city. There would be a all too human response to the idea that keeping Lolly safe was them kidnapping her. So the ride from Rogers Park down into the Wicker Park area would be fraught with silence. It would be filled with nothing more than a few glares, a few attempts to not speechify, a few attempts to not make the situation worse. So Surly, silent, the shelter are transported across the city. Now, the best way to describe Chicago from the top down is a city of villages, a city of cities, because each of the neighborhoods, each of the easily recognizable neighborhoods, are in fact their own domains. They are their own worlds. Someone who grew up in Logan Square is completely and totally different than someone who grew up in East Village or West Town or Humboldt Park. God forbid they were some of the few who grew up in either West DePaul or Lincoln Park. It's literally a city of separate nations, and they're divided quite easily. East side, south side, west side, and north side. But in that says so very much, because even someone from the south side, depending on where on the south side they grew up, whether it was Newtown or it was Cabrini, whether it was Canaryville or Bridgeport, each and every one of those communities, each and every one of those spaces is a world unto itself. It requires different knowledge, requires a different way of doing things, requires an understanding of the city that's solely their own. And Wicker Park is no different. Wicker Park is the home of the down and out. Wicker Park is home of the absurdly rich, living elbow to elbow with individuals who are barely getting by. And by barely, they are not getting by. There was a research paper done not too long ago figuring out and tabulating what opens the gateway to happiness, what financial level, what per annum allows a semblance of happiness in Chicago. That threshold was set at the early 50s for a single person, and at the 100,000 mark to actually be comfortably happy. So starting at $50,000 a year, you could begin the process of being happy for a single person, with it be growing exponentially based on whether you're supporting just yourself, whether you have family, so forth and so on. The average income in Wicker Park, even with all of the soon-to-be millionaires and 100,000aires, is roughly about $37,500. And that's the mid-range, which is too high for some and too low for others, but that is the average income for the area. Nowhere near happy, not according to the report and research and the study. However, there's a way to approximate that. And that way is through extensive, overflowing use of both legal and illegal narcotics, and in the drowning of one sorrow in one fermented cask after the other. From vodka, the whiskey, and all the way back again, including several different varieties of tequila, mezcal, and wine by the tubful. It is a party area, not as wild and rambunctious as it had been during the 70s and 80s and even some of the early 90s, but its use, both illegal and illegal, is everywhere. It is a center for artistic reinvention or just alcoholic reinvention. From buildings pockmarked with graffiti going back several generations, even those that have been sandblasted more times than the entirety of the North Shore beach and painted over quickly thereafter. It is a hub of nightlife activities. It is a place where it is easy enough to get lost in the very feel of drunkenness, of narcotic use, of pharmacological, mind-altering acceptance of this reality through absolute rejection of it. And much like every trip across the city, the architecture changes. The dress of the people changes. You can feel it in the air. There's none of that fresh inland ocean scent that you all grow accustomed to in the Rogers Park area. There's none of the squat, wide bungalows from the far south and far west side. There's none of the central business district, the Loop, and the near north side high-rise towers. There's none of the graystones. Wicker Park is a hodgepodge of things. Everything a little taller than it needs to be, but short enough that you can still feel the hawk coursing and raging across the street. Bright, garish neon right next to a 4-story family home. the illicit and the illegal happening so often and at nearly every vantage point as to easily camouflage the actual legal upstanding businesses. The bars, each and every one having a line of its own. The smokers standing huddled together under some cast-off light, just far enough away from the door to not have someone constantly yell at them, 15 feet, fellas, 15 feet. The doormen and bouncers in the area, as there are in fact two separate facets of the security idea of a nightclub or a bar, abound. Black t-shirts, some emblazoned with security, others simply just black, covered by leather peacoats and skull caps. Some wearing slap gloves openly, and others carrying far deadlier weapons less openly. It is not the party mecca of Chicago, but it is very, very close. It's a place where it is easy to get lost. And as you make your way down Milwaukee towards Hoyne, just before you enter into the fullness of the secondary portion of party, bars, nightclubs, two flats with house parties going on nearly every night, the storefront art galleries, the restaurants that open and close within the month. You all are eased to the curb and the van stops. You can hear the back doors opening. Detective Devereaux looks at you all as if you're something that she scraped off the bottom of her shoe. Because for her, you are. This was a favor that didn't need to happen. This was just a pain in the ass. And then she just points, shaking her head towards the 3-story red brick building with a boutique on the first floor. The glass windows filled with mannequins too thin to actually ever have been anything living, dressed in all manner of haute couture, all priced beyond the range of most individuals traipsing up and down the street. It seems as if your ride is at an end and you are very near where you need to be.
Lolly will wait to be directed out of the vehicle.
The funny thing for Miriam, it's not the constant sass, it's not the anger and rage that is clearly possessing Kindred, fighting their absolute hardest against everything the world throws at them. It's the silence. It's the side-eyed thoughts clearly playing behind Hester's eyes. She adjusts her glasses, says something quietly to Lucio. He looks. Well, I'm guessing we're here, and follows Hester out.
I think we've made it to your friend Lolly.
Okay, just don't kill me.
Of course not.
She doesn't feel especially reassured.
Are you ready to go see him? Almost like she's soothing and comforting a toddler.
Whatever you say.
The building is mostly familiar. And by mostly, it's a harkening back to the bad old days. The days where falling into the wrong party could have you wind up dead. It's a place that is clearly beyond the pale. It is a 2-story building brick front with the boutique downstairs, and the stairs between the two buildings leading to the upper loft behind the two front of the 3-story building that's sitting there side by side. There's a door that leads into one building, and between the two, where there should be a gangway or causeway, there's another door with stairs leading up. And then the door to the next building is immediately right next to it. As you all leave the van, Devereaux closes the door. The van, she calls out as you all head away, "Don't make this a habit." And she gets in the van and drives off. The area, again, is very much a party center. So your pale, dead skin does not set anyone's alarm bells off. There are enough heroin chic and worse individuals moving amongst the crowds and from bar to bar that you all don't stand out. Hestia and Lucio heading up the stairs as directed.
I guess we'll follow.
Yes.
The stairs are definitely not up to code. There's a certain width the stairs are supposed to be and a certain height. These vary, some taller than others, some shorter than others, some thinner than others. But you all finally make it upstairs, and you can hear the driving double guitar of All Out, 100% unrefined punk. The drum doing its best, the drummer doing their best to keep up as the two guitars compete for who's the loudest during this particular solo. It's not a song that easily comes to mind. It's not some local band of some sort. And it's only as you all make it through the door and realize that the room is filled with a certain pungent smoke that you realize the band is actually playing in the front room. There's 3 guitars, not 2, who are attempting to be the lead of this particular punk band. The drummer, doing their best to keep tempo and keep time, is falling behind and speeding past, and the bass is half bored out of their mind, is chugging a shot as he strums the same 2 notes over and over and backing them. It's a mess, but the 15 or so individuals drinking out of red, green, and pink solo cups seem to be wholly enthralled by the beauty of it all.
Look around for familiar faces. These are her people.
These are not only Lolly's people. Being this close and pressed this tightly into the press of humans abounding is its own sort of comfort for every hunter, every monster, every beast. And as Lolly sees 1, 2, 6 of the faces that she's grown accustomed to seeing at various baby chorus concerts, as Miriam sees 4, 5 willing donors that frequented at this point the various discos, the mass used to have a full service Bahari events. It becomes very, very suspicious, as not only those familiar faces, but other faces that should not be this close to, well, the tower are mingled in with those 15 in the living room, the 7 moving past to the dining room, the 4 heading into the rear portions of the house. It's only as you guys are standing here taking stock and knowledge of the faces around you that you realize that both Hestia and Lucio have followed some hidden clue towards the back of the house.
briefly look for an opportunity of escape, but then probably decide against it because she doesn't want to get any of these people hurt.
Yes, incidental hostages, incidental collateral damage, innocents of various stripes and echelons of the city's elite. And by elite, that has nothing to do with their economic status. It has to do with their appreciation of baby chorus or their understanding of the Baham, at least as far as Miriam and Lolly are concerned. And that's what really makes them elite. Their ability to find a humanistic understanding of even their mortal standing. Because that's what it is. Both are a form of worship. Both are a form of fellowship. Both are people needing people and finding just the right sort to while away their hours. Which makes them elite. Which makes them a cut above. Even the few kindred faces you see mixed and mingled into the crowd are a cut above because they are able to embrace, they're able to give, they're not just endless voids of death and despair. And it's clear that Damien is not in the room. Though Lolly finds herself a little annoyed because they're against the wall, standing just in the one thin sliver of shadow between the two rooms, is Evan, his long blonde hair swept high and back off his forehead, pinned just the nape of his neck, his collar open wide, all that pale flesh glistening in that darkness, and the ever-present drift and wafting of cigarette smoke about his head, obfuscating and obscuring his eyes. While most people could never figure out who was in control when Evan was around, one of the many tells were his eyes. Unlike most seers, unlike most Cassandras, his eyes changed color, either both together or heterochromatically, depending on which version of himself was in control. And from the stance, whoever is inside Evan piloting him right now is most assuredly predatory. And as you consider him standing there in that pale bit of shadow, the razor blade smile he flashes lets you know that he sees you as well.
She will half stop, half keep walking, and do that little stagger thing that is the result of attempting to do both of those things at one time. She will bite her lip softly, keep her eyes on him, but continues to move with the group.
Miriam, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus either stealth, insight, or awareness? Your call. DC is 2.
And it's the same pool either for insight or awareness, unless flex is applicable.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan. It's just a passive awareness because there are still, even amongst the worshipful, even amongst those who really are believers of sorts, there are those that it's better probably to avoid because they use the Bahari, they use the Baham towards their own ends, predominantly free feeding, predominantly victims, and worse. One of those individuals is the whispering power behind the government, one of those that you hope to never really deal with on a personal level. And you've managed to be good enough to avoid being alone with him. You managed to keep from being pulled into the sway he has over nearly everyone he spends more than a few moments with. And it's that person that your spidey senses goes off about, because the crowd is a mixed bag of various ages and strata and kindred and mortal and all things in between. Here for the music, here for the party, here for the clearly freely passed drugs of both smoking, snorting, injecting varieties. Here for the free wine by the gallon and shots by the bucketful. Here for the chaos of such a wild party, with the idea that there are dangerous people amongst the crowd, but if you're smart enough and wily enough, the only thing that you take from this evening is a hangover or an itch, a little bit of scratch, maybe a little bit more than that, but not too much more than that. And as Lolly stagger steps and attempts to keep moving with the flow of the crowd towards the back of the house, trying to get towards your host, the person who invited you all here, you see him in the crowd, his short, graying hair, his smile that never quite seems to ever leave his eyes, even when he's frowning. You see him with 3 individuals pulled into a tight little cluster, and you can see him working his magic. You can see him winning them over by the second. And just as he sees you, you manage to nudge Lolly to move a little faster so that he doesn't break his conversation. Yet you know Marcel has seen you. You know that Marcel, who pulls strings to make things happen, illicit, sometimes dirty things to happen, who prays openly and wantonly without ever quite tipping his hand, has seen you. And it's like a ghost from the past. The last time you saw Marcel at one of the discos, working his magic, making hierophants and believers doubt themselves, doubt their faith, doubt their fellowship, to feel bad about their life choices and decisions to take part in the Bahari and the Baham. And right at the moment where they are completely at his mercy, he lets them wallow in it. He drives that dagger right to the very tip, just nudging and touching their heart, easily able to puncture and end them emotionally, but leaves them dangling in that most succinct and painful of moments. It's only when they're nearly completely broken that they step in, and all of a sudden the next week, next month, you have 2, 3, 4 fewer Bahari and Baham. Yeah, 3, 4, 5 less faithful. And you know it's him. You know it's what he's doing. But he's so good at it.
He will frown internally and try to keep moving. She will whisper to Lolly, "We all have our own demons."
Moments later, you find yourself past the kitchen into the actual bedroom, where Asha has taken a seat and Lucio is standing very near at hand. Damien sitting on the far too expensive for this neighborhood, far too expensive for this crowd bed that you know is easily in the neighborhood of about $5,000. It's a posturepedic California king, reinforced and motorized to contort and conform to your body with both pressure, elevation, angle, and massage if you so wished. Sitting in the window, 1 foot hanging over the lip out into the wide open space of a Chicago night, is Genghis. And the image of Genghis sitting within 6 feet of Damien is, well, superficially laughable. On the surface, there's no reason or rhyme to an anarch being allowed to live, being this close to the sheriff of the capital city of the tower. Yet, here they are, Damien with an acoustic guitar in his hand and gently strumming. You're not sure which song exactly, but you know that you've heard it before. Whether it was either performed by Baby Chorus or something else from the top 100 songs played. You know it's a familiar tune, you just can't put your finger on it in the moment. And he looks up, soft smile. Well, I guess the gang's all here.
I think your girl here needs a support system that I can't provide. And she will glance over at Hestia and Lucio and shake her head a little bit.
If none of the three of them are looking at Lolly will mouth help me to Damien.
He looks down at the guitar in his hand and visibly sighs. He uses the guitar, holding it by the neck and using it to move the pillows and covers out of the way so that the sheet beneath is mostly exposed, and it's clear that no one really sleeps on the bed, at least that portion of the bed. He kicks a boot out of the way and taps it gently with the guitar before bringing it fully back into his lap. There's something about that action, that simple, not rushing to bodily put himself in the way, not rushing to incidentally or accidentally touch her and pull her into an embrace, or any of those small, usual shows of comfort that is at once a little weird and at once a little touching, because he's not trying to crowd her space. He's offering her the opportunity to choose. He's offering her nearness without touch. And he goes back to strumming. Those of you who have had the opportunity of meeting Genghis, the weirdest thing is that he's silent, restrained, reserved. And he looks out the window that he's sitting in and looks back at you all and kind of sighs, and there's a tension to him that is rarely part of his understanding of the world, yet there it sits blatantly, easily seen.
Lolly will take a couple ginger hesitant steps towards the bed, and if no one says anything or tries to stop her, her pace will quicken until she gets there, when she will lay down and curl up in a ball.
There is a weird comfort in the proximity of someone you know cares. There's a weird comfort in being allowed to simply exist, to be in your own world as the world moves past you. To be so kind, just go ahead and roll your resolve plus aspects for me, please. And while that's happening, what does Miriam do?
Miriam will just watch her go, looking slightly relieved that Lolly is no longer panicking, or I guess she's still panicking, just in a different way. More comforted panicking, I guess. And she'll just, take a seat wherever she can.
Well, now that we are all here, he says, sparing a glance up towards Lucio standing behind Hestia, looking over his shoulder towards Genghis, and then taking you all in, Miriam, and looking at Lolly. I'm not sure what you've all been through. Not sure what you all allowed or were forced to allow to happen tonight. And this is not me coming to you all as your sheriff. This is me coming to you all as just me, Damien. I'm going to be out of town. It's been a very long time since we've gone on the road, and Baby Chorus has been invited to play at Miller Stadium in Milwaukee under request of the Prince of Milwaukee directly. So, societally, we can't say no. Exposure-wise, we can't say no. And financially, we'd be fools to say no. Kathy somehow got him to all but write a blank check. This is also a political thing. He's tying himself closer to Chicago. He's tying himself closer to Prince Jackson. Something's getting ready to happen. The last time we were this close, a lot of people lost a lot of things that value. But that's not why I really called you all here. That's not why I wanted to talk to you. Martin has given me a heads up. Someone spoke with Lolly on the train, and she said you all were having issues. And they also hinted at who you're having issues with. So, I'm here to help you as much as I can, which is not very much at all. And I'm sorry about that. I wish there was more that I can do. But if what everyone suspects is true, you all need to circle your wagons. You all need to find a way to make allies with those who are not in any official capacity but can help. Nathaniel Bordruff is a nightmare. Everyone knows that he is, but no one can prove it. During the War of the Blood Red Moon, we are sure that he helped disappear the former regent of the Tremere. We still can't prove it. DuSable can't break whatever has been protecting him. We are sure that the hunters you all dispatched last year were connected with him, but we can't prove it in any way. We are sure that he is at least partially responsible for the kindred that have been going missing for the last 3 years. And we are also very, very sure that short of actually breaking the masquerade, that he has human allies. We are sure that it is him, but we can't prove it. He is laughing in our faces, and he only targets those that he believes he is able to successfully remove from existence. They disappear. They're gone.
saw Evan. He looked like bad Evan.
Yeah, he hasn't officially joined back up with the band, but he's here, which counts for something, I suppose. This is our last party. And he looks towards Genghis. It's also a sealing of a backroom deal that allows certain people to remain free of being hunted without playing games. It allows them to have 5 other members of their political affiliation in town without being hunted. It, however, also means that anyone not on their list, anyone not part of their recognized status, there is an open blood hunt on any and every Bahari and Anarch that is not on, as she looks towards Genghis, his list.
There's something happening in the south.
Damien pauses and looks at you. Okay. Yes, I'm sure there is. I know there is. And the moment that he says he knows there is, you get a vision of it. A great pinkish red dragon, the color of a ruddy, scarlet-haired, freckle-faced person rising up out of the lake. Its scales are bright and clean and not shining in the light, but also not reflecting it, almost as if it's absorbing the light through its scales. And the more light it absorbs, the bigger it grows. It swoops north towards the 50-mile tall ivory tower sitting in the middle of where Chicago should be. And unlike the usual fantasies of old, it doesn't breathe fire. It doesn't destroy anything in its flight. It swoops towards the tower and kneels before it. The moment it does, a bejeweled crown made out of human flesh descends as if it being lowered by some telekinetic grip upon the dragon's head. The moment the crown connects with the dragon's head, it fuses together and the dragon throws its head back. And instead of fire, mountains and mountains of wild roses come flying up out of its mouth, covering the ground at its feet, rising up till it reaches the dragon's knee and then its stomach and nearly to the top of its head. And right as it touches the jaw of the dragon leaps back into the sky and swoops back south. Everywhere the dragon soars over, hundreds and thousands of various roses, reds, whites, blues, blacks, yellows, fall. And everywhere those roses fall, the shadows are pushed back. The night doesn't seem as dark, and the stars above its head glitter more and more and more.
She simply whispered, "Dragons and roses."
Damon, clearly not prepared to share every bit of truth he understands. His warning, given his attempt to save you all from boards, of at least for the night, more than evident. But as Lolly tosses off dragons and roses, he finally stops strumming the guitar in his lap. Again, he looks and he says, "Yes. There's a dragon in the south, and there's a dragon in the north, and they will be going to war soon. because the dragon in the south has reached out on several instances to the government to be officially recognized as not Voivode of the South, but Prince of Thornton Township.
And Annabelle won't let him?
Annabelle has been moving her children, both by blood and otherwise, in his path to keep him from being able to claim praxis without her say-so, without her backing, without her support. If she has her way, her and her Toreador will be princes by proxy, utilizing the former Voivode of the South as the tip of their sword.
She will nod at him, content that she understood what she saw this time, at least to her own satisfaction. And we'll stop chewing the scenery and let other people talk.
It's funny for Miriam hearing that Annabelle's children by blood and otherwise, because being as connected as she was and is to the Painted Lady, she knows a not too well known secret. While Urzuli is not Annabelle's child by any stretch of blood, for many a year, Annabelle's sire, Urzuli's sire, kept them as siblings, a matched pair of light and dark. And they became very, very close. Urzuli's childer even, well, adding to that fire. And if all of the rumors are true, Urzuli is carving out a domain in the south. Urzuli is rebuilding the temple to Lilith in the south. Urzuli, while hunted and sought after, the price on her head doubling and tripling, and the esteem that could be had by ending her growing every week that she remains free, supposedly has a place in the south. And if there is a prince instated in the south, and she's already negotiated safety and sanctuary, if a prince is recognized who's offered her sanctuary, the blood hunt would be called off.
Miriam just is like, I hate politics.
You want to share with the class? Lucia would ask.
Has his friend from Gary, where we spent the night, the first night we were hunted?
Yeah.
That's who they're talking about. Which, admittedly, that's a great way to get the blood hunt called off of them.
I guess I should ask, but I'm not going to. The reason why I'm trying to help you all, there's been one coterie that escaped the blood hunt in the entirety of Chicago's history, and that's the shelter. I'm not sure exactly how you all pulled it off or how you managed it, but you did. I also know that makes you all targets. You all have enemies in the government and on the street. Bordriff is the first of potentially an unknown number of people you all have offended by doing what you've done and getting away with it. Bordriff is a sign that you all need official ties to protect you. And it's not much. And it would shut some doors for you all. But Genghis also needs allies to keep from causing more issues. He points toward the party out there. We have the most likely competitor to become the Primogen of the Malkavian out there. We have the most trusted advisor to the government, who even helps occasionally cast proxy votes out there. And if you all are going to make any contacts that may be able to help you in an unofficial way with official results, he points towards Genghis, and then he motions towards the door out there. You have the would-be king of the Chicago Anarchs, the soon to potentially be Primogen of the Malkavian, and the major domo of nearly every member of the government. And our concert is not a kept secret by any stretch of the word. And with the Scourge still missing, they will know that I am out of town. They will know that Wanika is a close second. And with the wolf pack out of the city, if they're going to come for you, it will be during our concert in Milwaukee. If they're going to come for you, they're going to come heavy, and they're going to make sure that they don't miss. I'd rather you all remain alive, or as alive as we get. So now is the time to build your walls, refortify your locations, and if nothing else, go into hiding. Disappear for long enough for them to miss you, to not know where you all are, so that you survive the storm. I can't do anything officially. There's no proof that Bordriff is behind anything. I can't do anything. What about?
The police officer that your girl got an ambulance for us for? He's possessed by something that's not a ghost.
That's not necessarily a great thing.
It talked through Lolly for a bit. She might know more.
Is that why you're... Is that why you need cooldown time?
That, and we were ambushed as we were trying to get him to the ambulance. And let's just say there was some violence. And she will once again shift her eyes over to look at Hestia and you.
Let's not. There's only so much unofficially I can do, and if I know that you've all violated Loden's praxis, or violated any other traditions, I can no longer be here unofficially.
Just some good old fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs, that's more than fine. As long as there's no actual violation of any of the traditions. You all don't have plenary indulgence anymore. You're no longer hounds. We can't say that it was justified by duty. And I doubt that the Seneschal will allow you all to skate nearly as much this time around. You are a living example and a reason that the blood hunt can be violated, and that the tower is no longer as protective as it once was. You all need as many friends and allies as you can possibly manage and muster. And if you're caught violating the traditions, violating the practice of any of the princes that have ever existed, your enemies will have more than enough fuel to burn you and everything you know down. Hey, Damie! He looks out the door. Someone, hey, Damie! Oh, God. I'll leave you all to it.
At least it's not Marcel.
Yeah. He sets the guitar down and heads out of the room, leaving you all in relative conference with Genghis and each other.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
It is. It always is. These yahoos have known me for a while, and they keep slapping my hand away. The question is, are we going to do this thing? Are we going to change the world? Or are you guys going to get taken out by an ugly motherfucker that spent too much time on his knees?
Changing the world is preferable.
Good. So instead of you all acting like tough, hot shit like you guys like to do, and he looks dead at Lucio, and then to Hestia, we are in the same boat. You got motherfuckers out for you, and I got motherfuckers out for me. No one has a better hand than anybody else, and there's just as many on my list as there are you. So we're even, dead neck and neck, 50-50 in this partnership. Right?
Mi casa es su casa?
Nice. So I own the building next door, not just this one. So I got more than enough room for you guys to crash if you want to stay the day. And I expect the same cooperation in return. In fact, I will come spend the night with you after you guys get past whatever this death threat that's over your head. But for now, like I say, I own the building next door. It's not much, but I can get you guys in, get you set up so that you're relatively in an unknown place. It's not as nice as here, but it's close enough.
I just want to go home.
Well, that could be arranged. Anybody see you with these guys?
I don't know. A lot of times people just don't see me.
That's a good trick. But in the chances that you were seen,
It's a possibility. since the police officer that came to visit had a pig-nosed friend with him that was unseen.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, he got away.
That probably sucks more. Please, no one can say you guys did anything to him, right? So there's that. But if you were seen with these guys, then I'm sure your lot is much the same as these guys. And while my door is relatively always open, nobody comes around that's not invited. Thanks to a few favors I had to call in with the Tremere. So, So, next door isn't as protected, but no one knows I own the building, except for now.
I didn't hear anything.
See? There we go. That's my girl. Speaking of my girl, he stands up, forgets that he has one leg out of the window and stumbles a hair, crashing onto the bed and then picking himself up, dusting himself off. I gotta go see what Kathy's doing. Back. And he moves towards the bookcase, stops himself, then turns towards the door and closes it. Locks it. Waits a few seconds. All right, everybody stretch your arms out. Make sure that nobody else is back here with us. If you get caught back here with us, we're gonna throw you out the window after staking you. And he starts waving his arms around, feeling out in front of him like he's a man with that's been blindfolded and playing flashlight tag in a very dark room. And he's stumbling here and there, waving his arms out, reaching for anyone that's not here. What are you guys standing around for? Help!
As he's doing that, Miriam will let her eyes unfocus and sense the unseen.
Excellent. Would you be so kind as go ahead, roll your wits plus aspects. Anything less than a standard difficulty, and you will suspect that there may be someone in the room, in the space. Outside of a few spectral entities in the space, there's no one else here. Nothing unliving and nothing alive.
It looks like just a few ghosts.
Oh, well, fuck that. Yeah, there's ghosts all over in the city. Come on. And he moves to the back bookcase again. And he very stereotypically moves the one book that looks completely out of place on the bookshelf that is filled with back issues of Playboy and Hustlers and We, and there's a collected book, there's a collected encyclopedia of adventures of Encyclopedia Brown. There are about 20 choose your own adventure books and several motorcycle and hot rod magazines from the late 80s, early 90s. But he doesn't move any of those. He moves Tolstoy's War and Peace, and the bookcase slides. The one book that stands out. The one book that is easy to see is not quite like the others. The one book that clearly holds some secret that shouldn't be there is the way into the secret passageway from this room to the building next door. No one will ever find it, he says.
Great. After all of this that has gone on, I just can't help herself. I would rethink that because that book stands out like a sore thumb amongst all the rest of your reading materials, as it were.
Yeah, it's so obvious that it's not obvious.
It's like saying, what's your password, and it's password.
No one ever expects that, especially put a 0 in front of it.
Oh my god. Never mind. It's your hideaway. Cool.
Well, I'm loaning it to you all so you can say what you want, but, just appreciate. Don't hate, appreciate.
She looks at Lucio. I think there should be a locking mechanism on the other side from the inside, so we can make it work.
Not really a lock, but no one knows that it's here, so you guys are good. The room downstairs where you're going to be staying in the building next door, it has a lock on it, but no one's going to make it that far, so you don't have to worry about it.
Just laugh to herself, kind of out loud. Like, hey guys, remember the last time we spent the night in this strange place?
You guys have sleepovers all the time?
Oh, it was delightful.
I also remember the last time that we were in a room that was supposedly impregnable and safe. Well, that turned out well.
It'll be fine. Everybody, came for a party. No one knows you're here. It'll be fine. Come on. You guys should have took my offer last time we talked to each other, and we could have been partners then. I could have even shown you the back way in. And you wouldn't have to come to the party. But hey, everything works out like it's supposed to eventually anyway, right?
That's what some would say.
Yeah. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. What's the worst gonna happen?
Not waking up?
Nosferatu ambush.
Oh, we've had that happen already. What's the odds of it happening 3 times in one night?
You guys really pissed him off, huh? This Bordriff guy. I remember from the bad old days. He used to run with, I think he was the one that Khalid was always punishing. Martin used to say that Khalid was nice and polite in public, but was very much a, asshole when they got together in the dark. Takes about 2 minutes, which shouldn't be possible going from one building to the next. You realize that when you get through the relatively thin tunnel into the next building, the hall that leads between them, it's actually at a slant. So while you were on the second floor, you're now on the first. You can see the storefront windows that you all ignored on the way up the steps to get here, papered in from this side, blocked off from the street. You can hear the noise and the people out there and the music from upstairs, but in this moment it's that dull roar just behind the glass. It's far enough away to seem a different world, but close enough that it feels as if you could touch it if you want to. Yeah, but don't worry about it. You're not guys gonna stand up here in the shop. Come on. And he moves past you all without really saying excuse me, just kind of nudging by with his body. There's an old wooden door that he opens. and he shows you the lock. See, on this side, you need one of them skeleton keys, but on this side, you know, the skeleton key that you put in on this side wouldn't work anyway if it's locked from this side. See, you flip this switch, and he opens the door wide so you guys can see. Flip the switch up. No matter what happens to that key lock, nothing's gonna unlock it. Come on. And then he heads downstairs into a basement. Sorry, you guys may have to double up. At least one or two of you guys are going to have to. I only got 3 air mattresses down here. But at least I got TV. And he moves over and pulls down an honest to God old school film projector screen. The ones that if you miss pull or you pull too hard will slam back up with the force of 7,000 suns, waking the dead.
I mean, they're already awake, so.
He pulls it down and then moves to the opposite side of the room and turns on the projector. Now this connects with your cell phone, so you can watch, you know, whatever you got on your phone. And it projects right over there. It's high def, so you guys should have an enjoyable time for your sleepover. Now, I'm a horrible host. I don't keep donors. That's what the parties are always for. So, unless, of course, you all, you know, have your own stock and supply, you're going to have to go hunting. Lucky for you. And then he moves to the back room towards the boiler. This isn't a normal boiler. It's not going to work. Everyone thinks it is, but it's just ductless heating and cooling up there. He turns one of the gaskets. You can hear it creak and moan and scream its protests. And when he turns it, he stops. And then he turns it back the opposite direction, half as far. Then he goes double back the way he initially was turning it. And when he's done, the front portion of the boiler, the big round end cap, opens with a squeak and a protest of metal on metal. Through here, leads out into the sewers, which will take you to the building behind us and up into their garage, and you guys are able to, well, you know, go hunting. As long as you guys do it politely. This is still my domain.
Harry won't just give him 2 thumbs up.
Oh, in case you're wondering, it is 2 full turns all the way left, half a turn back to the right, and 1 full turn to the left. Got it?
Just like a master lock.
Yeah! The guy who put it in said that it was dumb as hell, but I don't think that it was dumb as hell. I think it's a good deal. And I'm almost sure no one knows about this entrance. I've only used it one time before.
So what else is in the sewers?
Huh?
Right outside. You said it leads to the sewers, which lead up. What else is in the sewers?
Shit.
Because there's some monstrous rats, apparently, over in our neck of the woods. At least that's what the other rats tell me.
Well, that sucks for you guys. I don't like rats. Maybe I'll be thinking about maybe spending the night to repay the favor. I don't like rats.
Oh, most of the rats are quite lovely. They're quite polite.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I leave them some food once in a while. They're very grateful. They let me know when the big evil rats are nearby.
Yeah, see, no, a rat's a rat. That's the reason why I don't leave food out. Not that I eat it anyway, but still. That's just, you're trying to make sewer rats your pet. Oh my God. You know what? That's probably the reason why Bordrov is after you. You're taking over his people.
No.
Stealing his
The
love and
rats
affection.
Rats were already divided, if I understood them correctly. See, the rats, the good rats, had this cat that was protecting them. And then the bad rats killed that cat. Maybe I should draw it.
You're talking about a cartoon, Tom and Jerry and Mickey Mouse and all them other friendly rats. Yeah, well, this ain't no secret of them, and I don't want no parts of that. I don't like rats. I think I should get a snake. All right, so I got a party to get to. You guys are good? What was that?
Probably talk to a snake too. Probably.
Okay, Harry Potter. But yeah, I should probably get a snake just in case you bring your rats around. But anyway, I got a party to get to. You guys make yourselves it's not at home. Favorite guests? Favorite. Anyway.
Honored?
I wouldn't go that far.
Just make ourselves comfortable.
Yeah. Make yourselves comfortable. Just not too comfortable. Just a couple of nights.
To the party?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys to it. I'll tell Damien you guys, send your love and all that bullshit. So if you need anything, don't.
It's okay. Do you mind if I join you for a little midnight snack before I sneak back down?
You want to hunt at the party? I don't give a shit. Come on.
Alright.
I only know a quarter of the people there anyway.
Oh no, I already know some of them.
You already know some of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have not seen my artwork on my literal arms, neck. This is what I do for a living.
Right.
I told your girl I'd give her a tattoo for the ambulance.
My girl?
The girl that got us the ambulance and the police escort.
I don't know who that is. I wish you luck. And like I said, make yourselves comfortable. I will see you all around. Hopefully things work out. You guys don't get killed. At least not not here. Maybe somewhere else. But I can't do anything about that if you guys don't tell me in advance. So, yeah. And he heads back.
Alright. Let's go have some fun.
Am I wrong in thinking that Damien wanted us to go socialize? Or am I confused? Because it sounded like he wanted us to go socialize.
He did.
Then we're hiding out. I don't know.
You very much did say make out.
Miriam already headed out with Genghis and backed up to have some snacks.
I can't. Evan's there. Please don't kill me.
Why would I kill you? Look, I know you have probably a fucked up impression of me right now, but I'm a very pragmatic person usually, and that person had already stabbed me, so it was fair game to stab them back. Anywho, why would I stab you? You've been nothing but helpful to us from the get-go. Anyway, no, I mean, if you feel safer down here, cool. I get it. I would not wish to force you in any particular fashion to do anything that you don't want to. Looks at Lucy. Are you coming or staying?
I don't know. I think I'll stay and Make sure nothing else comes through the sewer.
I shouldn't be around Evan, especially bad Evan.
You want me to do something about that for you?
No.
Look, you're gonna have to trust us sooner or later. We've already been through so much, and we honestly would help you if we can in any way we can. We'll do everything we can to keep you safe, but you can't have to let us in to do so.
But you killed me. Like on purpose.
That's a little harsh. Every kindred has killed someone.
Not on purpose.
That's not true. Everyone says that it's not on purpose. But if you don't make the choice to do it, even when the beast takes over, it's still you.
Hess is going to lead them to their lovely conversation and trust that Lucio knows what he's doing and go catch up with Miriam.
It's funny, for all of the cloak and dagger of this situation, for all of the many times that you've all had run-ins with and against Genghis, it's amazing how well stocked his party is. It's amazing how much of a host he actually is, giving his guests the freedoms to do anything and everything that brings them joy temporarily. That happiness that comes from being able to let your hair down, being in a room full of like-minded eccentrics. All of that is surprising. It's hard considering Genghis as anything more than, well, what you've all envisioned him as, a double-crossing fuck-up.
Knows they have to work together, and she's going to wholeheartedly put herself into that. At the same time, there's some small part of her that is going to protect their back, I guess, in a way, and not expect any different than what they learned from him, because birds don't change their spots, basically.
No, you're not. Everything becomes more of itself over time. Change being the one constant in the universe, and man doing everything they can to be adverse to the natural laws of the world in which they inhabit. It is 17 after the hour. Let's be back here at 27 after, shall we?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
You forgot the follow-up to that.
Hello, folks. How are we?
Well, we're back.
We are indeed. Molly, I saw your light, but I didn't hear anything.
He ran back out here real quick to grab his water.
Water is good, but I'm cheating tonight. I am drinking, well, this time, I'm drinking a Monster Ultra Paradise. but it is only a 12 ouncer, so
I've got the 16 ouncer of the Zero Ultra.
nice. I only drink the zeros, and when I'm feeling myself and fully supporting my own political beliefs, I stay away from Bang and will pick up a Rain instead. They make a nice zero as well. But I can't lie.
Right.
I do occasionally pick up a Bang, even though their politics are, well,
Questionable at best,
yes.
but they're so delicious.
That's always the way it is.
The cotton candy, my favorite.
I like their, they have a Melon Mania. Has a Melon Mania, and then they have a Black Cherry. That's really good.
The black cherry is good. There's is it the blue raspberry one?
They do have a blue raspberry, but I don't usually get that. I'm a fan of the Black Cherry, and they have I forget the flavor. Which one is this? They have a melon flavor, which is okay. The Black Cherry limeade. They have a cherry cola one. That's not black cherry, it's just regular cherry cola. And then the last one I tried, which one was it? It was in, they make a lot of colada tea. That's not carbonated. That is surprisingly decent.
Oh, there's one that's like a unicorn one.
I thought that one was birthday cake.
No, they have birthday cake, but the unicorn's a different one. Frick. Anyway, regardless.
Yes. Sacrifice temporary political standpoint because of the deliciousness of the treat. And so, everyone, welcome back. Just a quick recap, because I know that us moving at a slower pace, nothing big, no huge set pieces, it seems like a lot has not been actually accomplished, nor maybe some of it has gone beneath the radar. So, in essence, over the last remaining few hours of a very problematic night, the Coterie has managed to yet again escape the full weight of a police crackdown targeted on them from their actions, but they've managed to keep it from being even so much as a neighborhood manhunt. They've managed to keep it from growing to a level where it would attract due and undue attention. They have yet again gotten away with murdering another kindred. They have reconnected and smoothed over most of the large stumbling blocks between them and their ally and Damien. They have managed to form a partnership with one of the 6 approved and accepted anarchs to remain inside the city. They have evaded those who are using mundane means to attempt to find them and have a safe haven to lay their heads. A lot has happened in the calm and quiet of these last few hours of the evening. They've also found themselves in the presence of kindred who could further sway the populace at large, win over more of the community for when the shit really does hit the fan. And it is not a potential. It's not something that there's an option of avoiding it. The truth of the matter is, in their doing, they left the corpse of a kindred in the garage. Yeah, the sun may turn into dust, but between now and then, there is still the opportunity of something or someone finding it. They have two clearly defined enemies, one of them being Nathaniel Borger, who died as a witch hunter of such repute and fame and graphic willing violence that death would have been a reward, and he was gifted, punished with an existence amongst the undead. The other still yet to be fully identified, but with the ability to act through others to get to them. The feces and fan connection is not something that is an impossibility nor improbability. The only improbability in those two things meeting and spreading themselves all over the coterie is it not happening. Controlling how far the splatter reaches is the only real win. Connected though they are, as they are, it is literally all in or all out, lest someone find another way to escape the city, its rumor mills, and those with ties elsewhere. There's only so many times, so many instances, and so many ways that the shelter might avoid any semblance of justice search. There's only so many more times they might pull off the impossible. And as the walls close in and the possibilities grow more and more limited, not quite binary, but definitively less, Miriam and Hestia engage in a bit of party. Lolly tries to find solace in knowing that there are worse things out there in the night looking for them. Lucio tries to pull some sense of it all from all the many straws on this particular camel's back. And with that, we dive in to the scene already in progress. Miriam and Hestia at a party filled with ravers, rockers, rappers, kindred, mortal, ghoul, kind, and all manner of outsiders who are here because, well, if not here, then where?
Does Hess know any of the people that Damien mentioned a sight, or would it just be kind of guessing?
The knowledge of Evan, the knowledge of Marcel, the knowledge of Kathy Glenn floating through the party are common enough that it wouldn't be a stretch. Marcel, who has been whispering in the ear of Primogen, princes, sheriffs, hounds, and all manner of powerful kindred throughout the city for years. He has literally been a fixture in the city, an underground power behind the thrones since the early 90s. Kathy, a quiet force du jour amongst the artists, both musical and visual. She has existed in the city since the late 70s and has been a voice for those without a voice. When presenting and approaching Annabelle and receiving the grace of the roses of the city, for those of the outsider ilk, Kathy has been the gateway to finding a way to be less disenfranchised, less looked down upon, less kept out of the halls of power. While you may not be able to call shots, being close enough to see what's going on behind closed doors is often all the information one needs to avoid some of the larger pratfalls that are set out for aspiring neonates and children. Evan, despite all of the discongruity of the Malkavian clan, second to Nero, is the only viable candidate for Malkavian primogeny now that Newberry is no longer a factor. Newberry forced the Malkavian in the city to all have therapy appointments with him, group sessions, where problems and visions and issues were worked through so that they have a better grasp or a grip of them. At least that was the story of it all. The truth of the matter is that he had, well, done what he had done. So, here in the party, those individuals making their way through the party, having small bits of conversation here, slipping off to the bathroom with this person, or slipping into one of the other bedrooms with that person, are there to be approached, to be engaged, to be ignored if you so choose.
I only have like one dot in politics, but I think I want to use that to be able to figure out who to approach first.
First, second, last, not at all. That is entirely up to you. There's no real political weight leaning one way or the other. Each of them have their spheres of influence in the world at large. Within the kindred community, each of them have a standing that is relatively irrefutable.
Looking at Miriam before they kind of, I don't know, I guess they're gonna not hang too tight with most of the night with Miriam. So I know you want a party, and that's fine. We just can mingle business and pleasure, but Damien says we have to make allies, and I think we should definitely do that. Is there any preference as to who you speak with, or anybody you don't want to talk to?
Marcel is all yours.
Okay, no problem. I can do that. As same would go for, I guess, Everett. Should probably be somebody you talk to, because obviously, you know, there are things that were done before you got there, and us and the Malkavians are, so there's
Everett,
that. But
Everett or Evan?
Evan, yeah. Sorry. There was an Everett, I think, at one point.
I just wanted to make sure, like, someone else didn't materialize that I wasn't aware of.
No, it's heaven.
Okay.
So as you two put your heads together and form a plan of attack, a way forward into the crowd to set your tenterhooks and pull in fish that will hopefully protect you, socially if not physically. There's a quiet murmuring amongst the crowd. Quiet. I don't know if the old man should be here. Yeah, well, rock is not just for the young, And so forth and so on, here and there, across the room. You can say, oh my God, whose granddad is that? Oh shit, it's not that old. Do you all go investigate the rumors of someone's grandfather, or do you let well enough be well enough?
I mean, I gotta admit, Miriam is curious about Grandpa.
Yeah, it's coming out too many times for me to ignore.
Everyone knows the old quote, man plans, God laughs. Everyone, even those who have no real religion to them, there's no organized worship, there's not even really much faith, but there is a certain spiritual nature to most people, and even they understand or have heard that chestnut trotted out at various times. And as proof of the pudding being as sweet as it looks, you all taste, you all drink of the murmuring gossips and whispers spread amongst the crowd, making your way through, one cup being handed or put in your hand as someone goes rushing by towards the bathroom and what have you. You both find yourself in the living room as the band is taking a break from playing on the stage in the living room, and you see holding a conversation with the Regent and Tremere Primogen. Abraham Dusable, his long red trench coat no longer in presence, instead well-pressed jeans and polished loafers. His shirt even considerably more casual than usual, and instead of the long red trench coat, he's wearing a velveteen blazer, dark enough red that it seems almost black. His shirt crisply ironed and pressed, a lighter hue of red, almost pink. His tie no longer in place. His gloves still in presence, but his cane gone is the nice, solid pearl-handled model. Instead, there's a gnarled red wood facsimile of his cane in his hands as he leans slightly forward, listening to every word that Kathy says, nodding here and offering a word there. From across the room, even with the band no longer playing, it is in fact quite loud, too loud to hear what might be being said between them, but the way that he looks at her, the way that he catches her eye and holds her eye and follows her words and nods along, showing active listening, is troubling. It's like being a child and finding or meeting your teacher in a place that is not school. Your teachers don't deserve to go to the grocery store. They should not be in the ice cream parlor. You shouldn't see them at the drive-in, but lo and behold, there they are. And the conversation between him and Kathy seems honest. It seems as if he actually is into whatever it is that she's saying. Seems as if she actually has his full attention. But it still is the Primogen. It still is the regent of regents of the Tremere. And he's here in a house party filled with punks and rappers and metalheads and kind.
I assume that was to Lolly.
Yes.
She will find a spot at the end of the bar, or what passes for a bar, and just stare without trying to stare at Evan.
It's easier said than done, because watching him hold court and just end the conversation by walking away, watching him find the most obvious, out of the way, visibly accessible place, seems as if it's a dance, seems as if he's purposefully catching your eye. And while he never looks fully directly at you, you can tell that he's keeping where you are in mind. And it takes a few abruptly ended conversations before you realize that with each conversation, with each abrupt ending, he's closer. 5 feet, 3 feet, 2 feet. He's a foot closer. He's a foot further away, 2 feet closer. He is dancing and moving through the crowd without dancing. He is eking closer and closer.
Molly will slide out of her chair as she sees him inching closer to her, and she will stomp over there with fury in her eyes. But by the time she gets there, she just barely, meekly comes out with a weak little stop.
Do you hear that?
Do I hear what?
That.
I hear a lot of things. Which that are you talking about?
Oh, you know that. Our song. Playing in the distance.
It's always playing somewhere.
Yes, isn't it? Do you miss it?
Doesn't matter, we're supposed to stay away from each other.
That makes no sense. The only thing we're supposed to do is empty all of these decanters of blood. And I don't see you doing that, and I certainly am not. So if we're not doing what we're supposed to do, why are we doing the other things we're supposed to do?
You know why. One of you knows why. Probably more than one of you.
Perhaps. Doubtful. Perhaps. But knowing why and understanding why are, well, two very different things. Where are you staying now, little mouse?
I don't know.
But you would if you didn't stay away.
We don't know that.
We know you're lost. Now, you wouldn't be lost if, which makes the if far more valuable than the now. Don't you dislike being lost. Swimming.
Sometimes, but I don't like stapling matchbooks to your head.
It's not my head. I merely live here from time to time, sometimes. And if you don't like it, don't do it. No is always an option. Except for when common sense and all sense of logic says that you should stop saying no. Because you don't mean it.
Sometimes the opposite is true.
There are enough sum of all the times that none of them actually matter. He holds his hand towards you, almost daring to touch, leaning close enough that you can feel his breath along your skin, daring to make eye contact as he does so, inching closer, almost as if he's pushing through a very soft force field, breaking the distance between you. And just when he could easily rest a hand against you, he just hovers it above the space between you and him.
She will close her eyes and bite her lip until she realizes that her fangs are out. She will cover her mouth with a hand, try to back away from him.
He doesn't follow, not physically. He stays rooted until you're far enough away where he would need to take a huge leaping step forward. He cocks his head and watches you walk away. As you ease further from his grip, and somehow the distance makes it far more intimate, because as the world moves around you two, and the party continues on its path, rushing headlong towards morning, being seen, being felt and understood in this wide assemblage of bodies, somehow more personal, somehow more intimate, somehow knowing that there's another soul, no matter how decrepit, dried, or desiccated, that understands you and still wants to be in your company is, well, as intimate as they come. And speaking as intimate as they come, as you two watch DeSable and Kathy, there's a fellowship between them that shouldn't exist. You all know DeSable, as Primogen, as Regent, as head of the Tremere in Chicago, doesn't have an intimate connection with anyone. He doesn't party, yet here he is. DeSable has a reputation for being a by-the-book, over-the-top, crotchety old man. Yet here he is in this rabble, this wide association of kindred and kind, all states in between, with Kathy Glantz. What are you, Miriam and Hestia, doing?
I will nudge Hessa with my elbow and just laugh. He looks so out of place. He tried though.
Now, out of character, has actually knows better than to assume that's, I know who he is, because she's already seen cracks in that armor of him being the crotchety old man. So she just kind of looks at me and I mean, it's believable in a way, but at the same time, I feel like it's not a trap, because we didn't know he was going to be here, and nobody else knew he was going to be here, because everybody's surprised that he's here, but at the same time,
So should we talk to the boss man?
I mean, he's talking to somebody that we wanted to talk to, so I guess we might as well just rip the Band-Aid off. And she will start walking over.
Alright. And Miriam will walk over as well.
There's always strength in numbers, at least that's the old adage. The more there are, the better the odds. The more individuals who have the same battle plan or same goal for a battle, the greater the chances of success. Problem being, not everyone has the same battle goals. So as you all draw near, Kathy has the most perplexed look on her face. You swear that she's seen a ghost, or better yet, you swear that some ghost has spoken to her, and as you all draw closer, she catches you out of the corner of her eye and rests a hand on his forearm. And when she does, it takes him a second, looking from the hand on his forearm to her, to realize that you all are within conversational range. And she says, "Good evening. How are you guys liking the party? Our going away party? I know you guys are tight with Damien," and she motions to Miriam, "and I know you're tight with the old lady. But I don't see you guys usually at these parties." And she looks at Dusable out of the corner of her eye as she says that. Oh.
Well, one can't stay cooped up all the time.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. There are a multiplicity of sides to every person, to every kindred. We are more than what we seem. And he looks towards Hestia, and then he looks towards you, Miriam, before looking back. I was in the area. There's myopic books, and I'm sure you all are aware, that has a surprising collection that is in fact true and honest resources for what it is that I do, for what it is that we do. Right, Miss Green?
When he looks at her, all he sees is like her smiling at him. And it's a genuine smile. It's not a cat that got the cream. It's not a haha gotcha bitch. It's none of that. It's just genuinely a oh hey, you know, kind of smile. And she nods. Indeed.
I've been a fan and a supporter of Baby Chorus for longer than I can remember. And hearing that you all will be having a concert that I will not be able to see in person, not quite sure how I feel about that. I wish that I could be there, but my duties are here. And I, as Primogen, could not simply pick up and go rushing towards your concert. I want to let you know that I wish you luck, success, and as a token of my fervent wish. And he pulls the flower out of his lapel. You all could swore that there was no flower in that lapel as little as 2 seconds ago, as little as 3 seconds ago. But there it is. It's a blue rose. He extends it to Kathy. It's a small thing, Kathy, but rose, while we have a connotation for it, during the late Middle Ages and into the early 1900s was a sign for those who dealt in information. It was a sign for those who illuminated truths when they could. It was a sign of more than just beauty. The rarer the rose, the more important the information and truths shared. There are only, as of when this was cut, 7,000 blue roses in the entirety of the planet. And I want you to have this one. Looking to Hestia, and then Miriam says, I hope you all understand that there are multiple sides to every individual, and not to hold one facet against any of the others. I'll leave you all to the hosts. And he moves away from Kathy, but you can tell that it's with no undue amount of forced sheer will that he slides away and begins moving amongst the crowd.
Jokes like Kathy, I honestly did not mean to chase him away. I was surprised to see him here, but at the same time, I hold no judgment to the fact that he was here.
I honestly don't know what to say. I thought he was more like Nero. I thought that he was one of the Ansla elders, one of the... By talking to him just now, it was like talking to an old friend. It was like he knew me. And it was so easy to talk to him.
Not unfortunately, but I understand entirely. He's a very tricksy hobbit, that one.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I find lately very few things actually make sense at all, anyway. So I think as of recently, I'm just gonna go with the flow. Take each situation in hand as it comes instead of trying to just move everything so far that has not worked well. That rose. Definitely take it as the gift that it is. As a botanist, It is very rare. And
But isn't 7,000 like a lot for a season? For non-commercially grown?
yes, but the thing is that is spread out over the entirety of the United States and not just this area. He said that number in existence this year, that is literally it. Until the next crop is grown. Or where that's grown. So, very rare.
Holding the rose between her thumb and index, she twirls and looks at it, how it catches the light, even as dim as it is here. She looks at the fact that it is not dried out, it is not already dying, and it doesn't seem to make much sense to her. She looks down upon it. You know, she's a little bit lost in thought as she looks at the rose and considers her conversation with the regent of the Tremere, the primogen of the Tremere, with the air of someone she knew or knows. And can't place her finger on it. And there are certain unspoken rules in every gathering, in every space. You don't touch anyone without permission. You don't touch anyone you don't know, especially without permission. And yet, as Miriam stands taking part of this little bit of conversation that's happening during the intermission for the band, a little roly-poly, happy gentleman who's dressed in very light colors, bright pastels, a clean white base striped in yellows and greens and pinks, and his pants a electric pink that nearly glows in the dark. His shoeless moccasins a yellow, not quite canary, but far lighter than the average. Slips his arms in to Miriam's elbow. I know you don't remember, but I do.
Recognize that voice?
Not at all. Kathy frowns and looks from you to him.
Has an average drugs. Does she know him?
No. It's a roly-poly, poorly shaved gentleman about 32 to 35. Looks as if he sweats gravy. Looks as if he has a hard time breathing, taking a flight of stairs, but has far more energy and far sprier than his look should determine, because he's extraordinarily light on his feet. You all didn't hear him coming. And yet, he's here. And very much breaking the taboo of touching someone you don't know. But he swears, based on his mannerisms and conversation, that he knows you. Oh, come on. You've got to know who I am. And he flips his hair, short though it is. Takes his index finger and middle finger, wipes at his brow as his right arm holds on surprisingly tight to Miriam's forearm. Come on. Think about it.
We will turn slightly and place her hand on her hip, or her free hand, and just look him up and down, trying to recall where she might know him from, or if he has any distinctive, cultish type markings.
It is obscured by his shirt. But it is clear that he has a tattoo over his heart. Not just any tattoo. One easily looked over, as most people wouldn't consider it a sign of anything. It's just a heart tattoo. But through that heart are 2 pair of sewing needles forming an X through it. There's a sub-faction of the Bahari, the human faction, a human portion of the many human factions of the Baham. That very innocuous tattoo is a symbol for their particular strain, for their particular faction, creating love whole cloth. They are some of the most eroticized donors of the Baham. They believe that pain is but one of the pathways forward. The other is loving until it hurts. Come on!
A wry grin and just tap the tattoo.
Oh, and he rests his hand on top of yours the moment you start tapping it. That's the ticket. And he lowers his gaze so he looks underneath his brow. You know she's coming back once Ursuli has completed everything. We're having a small get-together in the bathroom in about 15 minutes. Gonna be 7 of us. And I would love to have you there.
She will smile, her most winning smile. Sounds delightful.
One of the many things about Kathy, one of the many things about most kindred, is they are far more aware of their surroundings than they should be, even those not gifted with heightened senses. And so every facet of that stage whisper was heard, even as across the party, Lolly is dealing with a surfeit of welled up memories. Not just the violent ones, not just the ones that she tells herself she didn't enjoy, but the full width and breadth of what it is like to be seen, to be understood, to be felt on a level that most people purposefully avoid. And if that only stopped with death, the kindred would be fine, but it does not stop with death. The unliving beings and creatures that they are carry those ghosts of feelings and emotions with them for the remainder of their existence. So those small little things that would normally inspire a quirk of a brow or a extra beat of the heart are magnified because the kindred lose everything but the ghost and memory of such things, so they hold them more preciously. And there's no denying that in her time with Evan, even those moments where she tells herself she did not enjoy them, being seen and being understood, being welcomed into another being's existence, carries its own weight and semblance of joy, even in the dark. And as that realization dawns, and Miriam connects with fellow Baham, and Hestia realizes that there are several different facets to the gem that is, in fact, Dusable, we draw to a close. And thank you all for a lovely episode. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Good night, everybody.
Night all.
Good night.